This is SpeedSilver, and this is his 2.5 million subscriber YouTube channel, which has gained him over 200 million views over just 34 videos. And I want to show you how to edit like him, what makes his videos so good, and what you can learn to improve your own gaming content. So let's get straight into it. For this video, I'm going to focus on Silver's Jurassic Minecraft Civilization video, where he got 100 Minecraft players, split them into 3 islands, all with different types of dinosaurs. And if you haven't seen it before and that sounds interesting to you, then the link will be below in the description. And just a note, if you haven't seen it, well, there is a huge spoiler warning, because I will almost definitely tell you all about the plot. So there's just the biggest spoiler warning. But before I get into what we can learn from Silver's editing, I really want to give some recognition to the team. So let's talk about them real quick. Silver had at least 4 editors help him on this video, all with specific roles. But with this in mind, and something that's actually kind of uncommon, but is still really nice to hear, is that Silver still did a majority of the key edits. So it's good to know that even with a large editing team, he is still very involved in what's going on. And as for deadlines and how long the project took, the video was split into 5-minute segments for the team to edit one of these a week. And if you've not just done the maths in your head, then that means that this 48-minute video took around 9 to 10 weeks to edit. And as you can see by the video's timeline, this amount of time given really did mean the video doesn't slow down at all after the intro and just has so much going on the whole time. And that brings me to our first takeaway, which is consistency. Now, when I say about consistency, I'm not meaning about the amount you post, but actually in the video, because you'll see a lot of people that put a lot of effort into the first 30 seconds, then you see it kind of start to slow down in the amount of graphics, subtitles, and just overall amount of effort put in. But not Silver. The video has a consistent quality throughout the whole thing, which keeps us engaged for the whole almost 50 minutes, rather than just for the first 30 or 15 seconds. And so this is the first kind of easy fix for your video, and that is to keep the same quality level throughout. And if you struggle to do this, then do what Silver and the team did, which is to block the video out into sections. They did 5-minute sections, but this will change dependent on the length of your overall video. You could do a minute, you could do 30-second sections, anything. But just sectioning out your videos will not only help you to feel like you're making progress overall in your edit, but will also help you to set goals and keep up effort levels and not just feel like you need to rush to get to the end of your video. Now, the next point is arguably one of the most important, and that is Silver's storytelling. You may be thinking, so what if he says it in a nice way? But actually, I'm not talking about necessarily just the delivery, but what's going on in the story, because there's a lot more going on than what you might realize. And when I say the story and the storyline, there's actually 3 separate storylines going on of each island and its survivors. And throughout the video, these storylines will meet and bring it all together. And what this really means for us as a viewer is that there's kind of something happening all the time, because Silver is intercutting between different sections to either show contrast or just to make a funny moment out of what probably wouldn't have been funny. For example, when the kings are being picked, we're shown 2 civilized votes, which means that when we're then shown the mafias fight to the death to decide the king, this comes across as a lot funnier. So what can you learn from this? Well, if possible, try to have more than one thing going on at once, so that when the first thing is maybe becoming a bit dry or slow, you can cut over to the other to re-engage your audience. But just remember that learning to do this will take some time and practice. So don't just jump right in, but actually plan it out and start off small. And saying about starting off small, that kind of brings me on to my next point, which is a bit harder for smaller channels to replicate, but it is the scale. Silver had a huge map with 100 players, and the sheer scale of this makes us instantly invested, because it puts across that wow factor and also shows the amount of effort put in, which from that shows how dedicated Silver is to this video. This would have been a lot of time and I'm sure money invested into this, and you wouldn't go ahead with all of that if you weren't sure in the idea. So this shows that they're committed and that this is going to be a good video. Now, don't get me wrong, especially when just starting, not all of us can have 100 players or things custom coded for our videos, But what you can learn from Silver is to use scale in the planning. And this means that you can spend more time to make things add to scale of your videos. For example, that huge map that was made for this video, well, you could make your own, but we can also use large timescales. For example, MrBeast. Before he had large scale productions, the scale factor was actually bought from the time in the challenges. And I think the biggest takeaway from this is just to think about how you can show your audience that you're committed to this video and also that you're someone who knows what they're doing. And now for something else that is hard to replicate at first, but the more you try, the more you'll improve, and that is the animations. And there are a lot of them, and I'm going to actually group them into two main categories, which are the actionable animations and the additive animations. Now let's break some of these down. The actionable animations are what we're all used to seeing, and they're things like the calls to action, asking us to subscribe or like the video. And Silver uses some great animations, probably the best I've seen in a long time, and they really help spice up what is usually a kind of eye roll moment with a "here we go again" feeling. And then the additive animations are what Silver uses to help tell the story, following one of the most important rules in storytelling, and that is to show, don't tell. If we take an example straight from the video, instead of just saying, "so they began traveling back to their spawn," which he very well could have, he decides to instead show us a map with the players and an arrow showing exactly where they're going, to not only better explain what's going on, but also to keep us visually interested. But how can you add these to your videos? Well, I would recommend either making or getting yourself some subscribe animations to start. I've made some for Final Cut users, which I'll link in the description, but other sites like Visuals by Impulse, and I'll link some other ones down below. And then once you've got or made them, you should start using them wherever you're asking the viewer to take action. But don't make it too in your face, because this is definitely a place where less is more. We want something clean, but not something that actually is going to do the opposite and make people leave our video. Now, the additive animations may be a bit harder for those who are buying animations rather than making them, as these will want to be custom. But there are loads of great motion graphic designers on Fiverr and other websites, so I'd recommend looking at that. And whether you're briefing a designer or you're making your own, here's the kind of thing you want. You want an animation which is going to help reinforce what is being said in the video, as well as keeping the viewer visually engaged, because we all love things that move. And quite frankly, if I were watching a Minecraft video, sometimes it's actually quite nice to see something other than Minecraft. So just keep that in mind. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to like it, and these take a lot of effort to make. So if you're part of the 98% who aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing for more content like this. And if down the road you decide you don't like me anymore, you can always unsubscribe. Well, if you're making Minecraft videos, I'd recommend watching this video next, learning about TommyInnit's editing and what you can learn from that. So I'll see you next time. Bye.